How is it that you position yourself as an expert? Hi guys, my name is Deepak Shukla, founder at Pearl Lemon PR. We're a public relations agency based in the UK, USA, as well as Uganda, and we're serving clients worldwide. And welcome back to day number 20 of 39 days of public relations training, where we're talking about how to position yourself as an expert. But before we get into it, feel free to click the link in the description below to get access to 11 additional strategies that are not shared in this training. So fundamentally, when you're thinking about how to position yourself as an expert, so the prime point to understand here is that if you're going to do outreach, then it really, or someone's going to do outreach on behalf of yourself, you need to have, or it pays rather, to have some level of public persona. So an easy way that someone could identify the fact that you're an expert in your niche, or some kind of resume that pertains to that. No one can know, or no one will know, your level of expertise unless it isn't publicly stated somewhere, or it isn't self-evident in some way. So there's different mechanisms to do that, but the simplest way is to really collate and document all of the things that would technically make you an expert. Okay, so that would be, I mean, we've talked about it before to a degree, where we spoke about in day number, bear with me a second, when we talk about building expert bios for your pitches in day number 5, then we spoke about the importance of ultimately writing up the elements that are ultimately important about, you and your brand, let's say. So let's just assume that you've got a bio written up that reflects that. Now it's a case of supplementing or enhancing that bio with some other stuff. So that would be, for example, you want pictures, so that would be your headshots. You also want potentially to have already appeared in a couple of podcasts, or you can self-publish in the form of blog content, self-publish in the form of YouTube content, and really just to begin to build up your brand positioning. And that can happen through LinkedIn, it can happen through YouTube, it can happen through Instagram. You fundamentally need to start producing some level of content. It could even happen also, I should say, that through your website, in the instance that you don't want to appear on any kind of audio-visual format. You can have a website that talks about basically your history and your achievements over time, especially your achievements in history as related to the area in which you want to position yourself as an expert. Begin to do this, and you're going to find that many doors open to you. And to be honest with you, if you've got different personas, then you could have landing pages or websites per persona, if you will, and they could be entirely separate, because for the most part, when it comes to a journalist who's looking for a quick quote, they're going to glance at this page, and then they're going to glance at your bio, and they're going to be the two things that could be sufficient enough for the actual publication. Now, it depends upon the size of the publication and what's going to happen as a consequence of it. It's always better, of course, to have it in one, let's say, central format, but then also you can modify your bio accordingly to fit the pitch. But it really depends upon how diverse and different it is. If you're going from parental care to plant care to pets, they all can link together, dovetail together nicely. But then if you're going to pharmaceuticals, that's quite different, and that might need to be treated a little bit separately. So also it all relates to how they could converge quite nicely. So in any event, I think that understanding that if you position yourself as an expert, it's always going to help you. And at its simplest level, begin with, for example, the platforms that you're approaching people on. So if it's on email, then think about your email signature. If it's on LinkedIn, then think about your LinkedIn profile. If it's Twitter, then think about your Twitter profile, and so on and so forth. So there's got to be some level of expert positioning on the same medium. So you need to mirror the medium, or mirror your expertise on the medium, and that's going to definitely help you when it comes to positioning yourself as an expert. So if you want the quick win, then your email signature, if you're sending out an expert bio you put together, and broadly, the more you're able to do it across these different platforms, the better you're going to be able to come across as someone who's really an expert in that field. So this is, for example, my, let's say, 20th video about public relations. So it should begin to convey the impression that I know a little bit about PR. And that's what you're trying to really communicate by having some documented body of work that clearly demonstrates you're an expert in this niche. And that's what's going to fundamentally always serve you when it comes to expert positioning. So really think about that. You could just look at these videos as an example of it. You could look at the Pearl Lemon PR YouTube channel as an example of it. You could look at Pearl Lemon PR, the website, as an example of it. And that's what would speak to our expertise as PR experts. So there you have it. Think about those things and start building some level of public brand identification when it comes to positioning yourself as an expert.